Welcome, everyone, to the Elevated Nonsense Podcast, where we intrepid weirdos discuss all the strange things in our universe. Today, we have a very special episode. I, CM, am joined by our usuals, Cass.
Hey, how's it going?
And Zarria.
Hello.
And we have a majorly special guest today. Very popular on TikTok among the Star Wars community. With over 750,000 followers as of recently. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Josh, aka MaceAhWindu.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to have you here, man.
Yeah, of course.
When I first got the email from you saying, yeah, I'd love to join you guys, I wasn't able to hold back my excitement. I'll just put it that way. Because
Caleb messaged me and I was like, no shit.
Yeah, Caleb was very much fanboying. Even like before we hopped in the call, Caleb was like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm gonna get to talk to him.
Dude,
I'm glad. Happy to be here.
My nerves are still going a little bit because that's just the way that I get as well. But I know.
I'm a chill guy, man. Run your ship however you want to, man.
No, we've already gotten a sense of that from the Patreon pre-show. But I got a similar feeling, maybe a little more intensified, when I met Carolina Ravassa, the voice actress who does Sombra in Overwatch.
Sombra.
I met her at one of the local anime expos back in 2017, and my words hung in my mouth. Also because,
she's amazing.
She is a wonderful person and just really beautiful. And it was very, very cool to meet her. And free picture, too, which isn't very common at a lot of expos, so it was cool.
To be honest, I went to Disney World right before COVID in 2019, and we got a picture with, just some random person in a Darth Vader outfit, and I was intimidated.
True, honestly.
I was nervous still.
That's relatable, though, because when I went to the Halo Outpost Discovery...
You went to Outpost Discovery?
I did. I went to the Philadelphia one. Did I walk past you or something? No.
Did
you guys go to? Orlando?
I didn't go to any of them, partly because I'm in Canada, so...
Oh, okay. Well, that was complicated.
But no, I've just been, along with my Star Wars fandom, I've spoken about this. Halo was the first game that I ever played, or that at least that I remember playing. So on my shelf back here, it's blocked off. But I've got the Chief as an action figure. There's also Duke Leto from the new Dune movie, and Johnny Silverhand from 2077. I'm doing another playthrough right now. But I also have pretty much all of the Halo games in their cases in that collection right there. So I was just a little envious that you got to go to Outpost Discovery. So what were you saying with that?
It was an excellent experience. I was there with a couple of my friends. We were there for the whole 3 days. We're close enough to Philly that we were able to drive up there, and so we stayed in a pretty nice hotel. We got to meet so many excellent cosplayers.
Oh man, I can only
imagine.
The
reason I brought up Cassidy's relatable Darth Vader stories, because there was a guy who was like in a Master Chief cosplay, and it looked like it was at least a couple of grand.
Man,
nice.
So we took a picture, and the dude was already a really tall guy, but like the suit made him even bigger.
For sure.
And so I kind of took one of those little pictures, like, oh my god, and it felt like I was actually right next to Chief. And
I know.
We got to meet Bravo, who's one of the Halo what do you call them? Influencers, I guess you could say.
Okay. Yeah.
Sort of, yeah. I'm not as big of a Halo fan as my buddies, but we got to meet Steve Downs, who voices Master Chief, and we got to meet Jen Taylor, who got to voice Cortana. And so that was like really, really fun. So
that would have been great.
Yeah, and I want something like that for Star Wars. Like,
honestly,
Star Wars Celebration is my mecca for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's my journey. Wherever it is next year, I want to make it a point to go.
Cass, maybe our first IRL meetup should be at Star Wars Celebration.
I honestly think so. I know a bunch of people were like, "Yo, Disney World," and I'm like, it'd be fun.
I mean, either or, because I still haven't been to Galaxy's Edge, so.
Me neither. Yeah. I don't travel like I should.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of Star Wars Expo, Disney. Yeah.
I was just gonna pop up my ODST helmet real quick though, because I got to show off a little bit.
Absolutely, please do.
So 3D printed. I have my printer over here, and then I've filled it in with a bunch of. It's called Milliput. Really good for filling seams, and it's really sandable. I still have a lot of filling to do, and then I've got stuff for the visor. Had to paint it. I'm excited to get this done.
Okay.
But I haven't worked on it in like 3 weeks, so.
I ran into the same problem. I have a Mandalorian helmet. What do you call it? Up here.
Oh yeah.
I'm what you call a novice at the 3D printing game. So I kind of opened the box and I was like, wow, that's cool. I actually didn't print it myself. I got the print.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, you can do everything else. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. And I opened it and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the pedestal up there. And when I have time, I'll actually put time towards doing it. But yeah, right now it's just a paperweight. So
if you want to pick my brain, if you ever want to pick someone's brain, I'd be more than happy. But
absolutely appreciate it.
I didn't 3D print this, but I bought it.
Oh man. Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do when I have money. Like, I'm just going to be like, you know what? Can you guys just give me like a $300?
Exactly.
Actually,
Seriously.
though, you should honestly look at GameStop sometimes because they have some really nice.
Yeah,
helmets.
they have a surprising amount of good stuff.
This was $60.
That's it? Seriously?
Yeah, this was $60.
And it's got lights and sounds.
Yeah, like you turn it on the inside and it has lights and sounds.
I might have to stop by my local GameStop just to be like, hey, y'all got any red 5s in the back?
I know you don't got any PS5s, but if you got any red 5s.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
I just start to open my mouth and we don't have the PS5s.
No, that's not what I was going to ask about. But we'll continue on with a couple of our things here. So, we had mentioned the Patreon pre-show. If you're interested in listening to our episodes uncut, as well as getting patron shout-outs, then please subscribe to our Patreon for low prices each month. We currently have our one loyal patron at the Tree Eater tier, the fantastic JD. Thank you for being our patron.
We love JD.
We love JD
in this house.
We do. Follow us on social media. Join our Discord. Join the discussion. We love hearing from all of you and getting suggestions, hearing what you like, all that sort of stuff. And we're going to get better at the social media game. We promise. Eventually. And then also go find us on YouTube if you want to see our smiling faces. Live in 1080p 60 FPS.
Hot.
Let's see. I don't think we have anything else to go over in that department. Oh no, wait, we do. Usually I've got a cheat sheet, but I decided against it today. This is what I get for doing that. Go to our Redbubble store to get our merch. We have some lovely options for you. And that is now all that we have to do. But just as an extra note, because Mace was so gracious to join us today, and just because he makes awesome content, go follow him on all of his platforms too. TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all the stuff. Okay.
Thank you.
Of course. It's got to go both ways. But, yeah, without further ado, our topic today is Star Wars favorites. And I don't have full ideas formulated about everything that I was going to bring up today, but I have enough, and I work mostly stream of consciousness anyway, so.
Okay.
Yeah, everything I'm going to say is pretty much going to be off the tip of my tongue, and I know we're all going to roll off of each other, so.
We've already been doing pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm down.
Yeah. So I think we'll start out with you, Mace. You have shared your favorite character before on TikTok, and I do not blame you for your decision whatsoever, but why don't you talk about it a little bit?
Sure. So my favorite Star Wars character has consistently been Luke Skywalker. A lot of people say, like, oh, it's like the easy choice. I'm like, yeah, but it's, I can't help it if he's my favorite,
Yeah.
That's a big reason why. Like,
Absolutely.
And so whenever people ask me why, they're like, oh, he doesn't have any like flashiness about him, or he doesn't look the coolest to them. Like, it's like, well, what about Revan, or what about like Han Solo or something? It's like, no, those characters are awesome too. And Han Solo's in my top 5. I love Han Solo. But I think the big thing about somebody like Luke Skywalker is that from the beginning, he has been an avatar for like the general audience in a way, in my opinion. He's a guy that's kind of like, bro, what the hell is happening? And it's like, he kind of like, he takes the hand that he's dealt. He finds out like he deals with a lot of tragedy, kind of like his dad dealt with. But, he's almost like his own father's redemption story, where somebody like Anakin got overcome with that kind of darkness, and he ended up falling to the dark side and doing unspeakable atrocities for the next 20, 25 years. Like, Luke Skywalker is faced with that same choice, and even though he might have briefly, touched on the dark side at different points in his life, like I'm sure most Jedi probably experience, Luke Skywalker kind of walked away from that edge, and I think his resilience in that regard makes him a very admirable character. I've always considered him like the character in Star Wars that embodies hope the most, whether that is hope as in like a hope for the Rebel Alliance, or hope for Anakin to return to the light, because he and Leia were the only 2 people that could have stopped Vader from doing what he did. I mean, the whole battle with Ahsoka was kind of to hammer home the fact that even though for a moment Vader was kind of like, should I? It was like, it was never going to be enough, because the whole thing was like, you're not Padme, you're not Luke, you're not Leia, you're not his flesh and blood.
Yeah. And at that time, he was already too far gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Even when Padme attempted to get through to him, it didn't work in that moment anyway.
No.
So, yeah, that's very
it's
interesting to think about.
Luke is very special because it's something about finding out later. Because Vader finds out in a comic, like Boba Fett, like inadvertently tells him.
Yeah.
He's like, did you get me a name at least? He's like, yeah, Skywalker. And Vader's like, there is only one Skywalker in the galaxy that I know of, and it's me. So unless my kid is alive, it's like, so Luke, I guess Vader, that feeling of finding out that one or both of his kids survived, at the time he only knew there was only one. I think that kind of changed him in a way, like almost like to maybe get a second chance, or maybe save something that he wasn't able to do for Padme. Like, I think in a weird, twisted way, like him fighting Luke in episode 5, trying to get him to join the dark side, it was more of him trying to take care of his son and make sure that his son was safe from anything that would do him harm. But that's why I like Luke so much. I mean, I think he serves such an important role for somebody who might on paper look like an unremarkable person. Like, he is truly a remarkable character, and I think that I saw a lot of myself in a way in him.
Yeah, I think that on the topic of being like unremarkable, like, sure, he's a white blonde kid, and it's very like
the Chanel boots.
But yeah, he looks like a lot of people, and so that kind of contributes, at least in the appearance way, to him being like unremarkable. But I think what makes him remarkable is that he is unremarkable in a sense, because it's something that I'm going to make my opinions about the sequels a little clear here for a second, but like, I have no problem with them really, though I do disagree with some of the directions, and I feel like there was a lot of maybe not wasted potential, but maybe missed potential, or something along those lines. I was very excited in The Force Awakens by the potential of Finn being a Jedi. I thought it was very cool for a stormtrooper to go from that And then, on a few other different things individually from movie to movie. But, okay, so where was I going with that? Right. One thing that I enjoyed about Rey as a character is that even after her lineage was revealed in Rise of Skywalker, it still felt as though she could still be kind of an icon for the unremarkable.
Right.
Because she was kind of just a regular person, despite her lineage. And yet she rose to be a hero. In a similar way that Luke did, and even Anakin.
But like knowing, like Rey, actually, like figuring out who she actually was later on, and then realizing that and just being like, I don't care. I'm just going to be my own person. Really says something too.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Totally.
Yeah. I at first when Rise of Skywalker first came out, because I don't know if you guys have heard about the Burger King leak for Rise of Skywalker. Do you guys not know that story? I love it when people don't know that story. It is one of the most out-of-pocket, ridiculous, true stories I think I have ever heard regarding Star Wars. So I think a couple of weeks before the premiere of Rise of Skywalker, there had been leaks, but nobody ever knew if it was accurate or not. And then, I think the German chain for Burger King had
it's always a foreign chain. Always a foreign chain.
King, the Burger King Germany chain had a marketing campaign for Star Wars. They always kind of have it set up for when the movies come out, and then they just let the floodgates loose so that they can sell toys as much as they can. I guess something dropped a tad, or something really important dropped a tad earlier than it was supposed to, and they essentially spoiled the entire movie a couple weeks before. Now, at the time, people didn't know if it was true. At the time, people didn't know. They were like, "This has to be," because people were looking through the leaks, and they were like, "This looks like it could be true. This actually looks like it could be real. Rey's a Palpatine, this and that." And they're like, "There's no way." And then the moment opening night happened, people came back and said the fucking burger, it was true. The whole thing was true. This thing dropped a month before the movie came out, and every last thing they said happened in the movie. But when I went to go see the movie, one of the things that I had an issue with immediately thereafter was at first I was kind of like, I kind of wanted Rey to embrace the Palpatine name. I have my own reasons behind it. I kind of was of the mindset at the time of, well, maybe she can take the name and make it something for good. But then I thought, as I kind of watched it again, I was kind of like, no, it's kind of like you finding out you're related to Hitler.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like,
it is that.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the name and use it for, maybe it's just better if I just don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're saying.
Cut the ties. Be your own person.
I think it's a noble thing to try and so it wasn't me. It wasn't me doing a dude bro gotcha thing. She's not a Skywalker, she's a Palpatine. I get those a lot too. But it was me more of honestly trying to be maybe if she took the name that she was given, not given, she accepted her lineage. Maybe that would be a cooler moment for her. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? It's even cooler for her to find out that she comes from something awful and saying, you know what, I'm going to pick my own destiny. Because it lends credence to the whole theme of Star Wars. It's found family. So so when people look at Luke wouldn't have let him, bro, he looks at her while she's choosing
but what are you saying? Luke wouldn't have? He was there. He let her. Right. Yeah.
And if you want me to be brutally honest, he's dead now. So what is he gonna do?
Who cares, right?
And then a bunch of people are gonna come out of the woodwork saying, "How dare you say that about Luke Skywalker?"
Yeah,
it's true. He's dead.
Can of worms. Yeah, I tell you guys. Yeah, I tell you guys, it's actually a trap. Every time I get an influx of new followers, somebody will come in and be like, so I'm curious about your thoughts on The Last Jedi. Like they're testing me, and it's
my
like,
gosh.
Yeah.
It's like they want me to. They're like, I want to know what you say. It's bad, right? And I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, I have problems with it, but like, it's not.
It doesn't
the worst
mean it's
thing.
bad.
I'm like, oh, all right, bro. All right.
I mean, I didn't want you here if you were going to be like that anyway.
Thanks for stopping by, I guess.
Seriously.
I did want to add one thing to Ray choosing the Skywalker name, about how so many people like obviously hated it and were like so upset about it. It's like just knowing that literally the Skywalkers raised her in her the last like however couple of movies, like they pretty much raised her into being a Jedi, into being who she is.
Yeah,
let her feel adopted.
Honestly, yeah, that's a good point too.
Yeah,
and like, I don't know, I've tried for a long time to get away from the gatekeeping mindset of fandom in general, because it's toxic and it's not actually fun either.
No, it's not.
It doesn't actually make you feel good. And
it's just a weenie,
What's that?
You're just being a weenie if you're toxic.
A bubble blown baby.
It's unfortunately very lucrative, though.
I mean,
it's I don't want to.
We don't have to go into it too much.
Yeah,
but
we don't have to.
I don't want to like specifically name people either, but like there are certain like channels that kind of thrive off of doing stuff like that, where it's like so and so exposes Kathleen. You know how to write.
Yeah.
Proper,
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy exposed for being a shill for. It's like, all right.
It's the same thing in a lot of U.S. politics too.
Yeah.
Which is so funny to me that people will write the same way they do about U.S. politics, which are important to a degree, about a franchise about space wizards.
Yeah. And all I'll say, and again, I don't want to get too into it, but all I'll say, and actually, people kind of picked up on it, what I was trying to say on TikTok. And this was back in my early TikTok days where I was a little less like polished and I just straight up said shit. I was like, look, all I'm going to say is after looking through some of the YouTube channels and looking through some of the political channels, there is an overlap between the gatekeeping part of Star Wars and something else. And they were like, oh, I think I see what you're saying. I was like, no, I don't even have to say what it is. You can just look it up yourself and you'll know exactly.
Yeah, honestly.
But yeah, that's all I'll say about it.
Oh, yeah. No, we don't need to go into that anymore. Yeah, because I had mentioned to you when we were talking about potential topics for the episode that I didn't want to explicitly paint any targets on anybody, which, like, if you're getting into talking about stuff that people respect and enjoy and revere, it's gonna happen. But, like, you can still avoid some of that by your own efforts. So yeah, we will continue on from that. And Zarria, we didn't discuss if you were going to want to share anything this episode, but if you would like to, like, feel free.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't have a lot. Like, I absolutely loved The Mandalorian. Like, sexy single space dad.
Yes.
Favorite. Like,
I'm glad we all picked up on that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like, I actually did really like the last three movies. I thought that they were really, really good. I did notice that they used the color symbolism a lot more in those movies, especially during like lightsaber fights, stuff like that. Like, if the Sith or like the bad guys were outnumbering the good guys, then the screen would be all like red, or if like there were more good guys, it would be all like blue. Like I did find that they used a lot more of like the color symbolism in that one, in those ones, like, whereas in like the earlier ones it would just be like the lightsabers that were like different colors, but in those ones it was like the whole rooms were bathed in like that color.
That's something I never noticed, actually. But
and like
the use of color theory is like an increasingly popular just thing that filmmakers use.
Yeah, but
sorry if I cut you off as well, but
yeah, I found like because it was so much more than the older movies, I found it almost like a little jarring, you know? Like
but not as a bad thing, but just like something that was more easily noticeable. I get you. Yeah. Cass,
so
what were you?
Going back to the color symbolism and stuff, I've had this theory myself that I've never heard anywhere else. And I'll just discuss it right now and I'll see what you guys think. So in the first movie, The Phantom Menace, where Obi-Wan is constantly getting trapped behind the ray shields as Qui-Gon and Maul fight, right? That symbol, that is red. Like the ray shields are red. And I like thought of this one day that like the red ray shields were basically symbolizing the Sith slowly like cutting off the Jedi Order from each other.
Interesting.
I like that. Yeah. It's
the prequels are filled with stuff like that.
Yes. So much more than we ever realized.
Yeah.
But if you had anything else, sorry, I just have to say that.
Like I actually really liked Solo. Like I really liked seeing a little bit more of like Han's relationship with Chewie and like how they interacted with each other and like all that kind of stuff. And I thought that was really cool as well.
It felt true to established themes as well between their characters and stuff.
Right. And it was a solid movie. I mean, no one can be Harrison Ford.
Right.
No. And I mean, some of that does come down to, like, not in a bad way, but just as a natural progression of things. It comes down a bit to nostalgia. Because it's just like, that was the first actor who played that character. And so it's immediately who you think of. But what was his name who played... was it Ansel Elgort? No.
Alden Ehrenreich.
Right. Okay.
Alden.
Yeah. Same initials.
I had always said that my buddy says that he played a bad Harrison Ford, but he played a good Han Solo. And I was like, I don't even think he was trying to be Harrison Ford. I think he was just trying to be a young Han Solo. Which is what he should be doing. Like,
exactly. He's not there to be Harrison Ford. Yeah.
Right. Look at where he is in A New Hope, and then subtract 10 years off of his age, and imagine where you think he's going to be 10 years before the events of A New Hope. That's where the movie takes place. And I thought Alden did an excellent job. I thought he had a lot of that same presence that like a 22-year-old Han Solo would have. I thought he had the charm there. He just was a little younger, and it was the perfect age for like a Han Solo that didn't really know what the hell he was doing. In the original trilogy, kind of just whipped his way through everything. But, But he's very green in that sense. And, you know, by the end of the movie, I would say that he's well on his way to becoming Harrison Ford's Solo.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I always had a question. I was like, I don't know why I don't hear this. Maybe it's just because Donald Glover did such a good job as young Lando, but like
phenomenal job.
I never understood why I never heard that same energy for like Donald Glover. It's like, you'll never be Billy Williams. I was like, I never really heard that for Donald Glover. Why is it
true?
Because Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian is probably one of the third most recognizable, top 5 most recognizable roles for general people. Like, my grandma knew who Billy D. Williams played in Empire Strikes Back. She was in love with the dude. So she knows who Lando is. So it's like, when I show her a picture of Lando played by Donald Glover, she's just like, oh, okay, cool. He kind of looks like, kind of acts like him. Cool. So I was like, okay, so what's the issue with Alden? I thought he did a good job.
Yeah. No, they both played their roles very nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
That movie deserves more.
The cast was not the issue. If there was any glaring issue, it was not with the cast.
No.
It was not with the acting. I think the acting was excellent. Yeah. Even Chewie felt like a
for sure.
Chewie felt like Chewie.
Yeah.
100%.
It reminds me a little bit of what happened around Titanfall 2. I don't know how familiar you are with the Titanfall franchise, Mace, but
excellent franchise.
Yes. Okay.
I'm an Apex player, so I kind of
Yeah.
I have a general familiarity with the universe.
Okay. So we can still be friends. Gotcha. Okay.
Cool.
No, but Titanfall 2 was released in between like 2 other EA games as well. So similar to Solo and what were we talking about earlier? Treasure Planet. The publishing company themselves crippled the success of one of their other games. Mm-hmm. It's tragic to see.
I didn't want to like. I don't want to say that they did it on purpose. I don't think they're stupid enough to. If there's money to be made, they're going to try and make money. But
no, for absolutely.
Sure. If you're going to release a movie, a Star Wars movie, I'm not to be like an elitist for Star Wars, but like when you release a Star Wars movie, you need to let everybody know that a Star Wars movie is coming out. Like The Force Awakens had everybody in a chokehold after only being away from the big screen for 10 years at that point. Mm-hmm.
Seriously,
like, Revenge of the Sith came out a little over 10 years later, earlier than The Force Awakens, and when they announced new ones were coming out, people literally cried in the theater.
Yeah.
So when you release a movie like Han Solo's origin, essentially, and you release it between Deadpool 2 and Infinity War, it's like, bro, like, were you not?
What are you expecting to happen?
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen? Like one of them wasn't going to do as well. And I was always saying, even back then, I was always like, bro, I really feel like they should push this to like August. Like make it like a back to school movie. Like it's the last big movie of the year that comes out before kids have to go back to school. Parents want to give them something right before the school year starts again. Go see Han Solo at the end of August, right before school's supposed to start again.
Yeah,
I think that would have been at least it would have been a better way to do it than. And then they use that as an excuse, in my opinion. I'm glad we got Mandalorian, but I think they use that as an excuse to not focus on anthology films anymore. Which, to be honest with you, Rogue One and Solo were 2 of some of my favorite pieces of Star Wars media.
Absolutely,
Rogue One is one of the best.
And they like sat there and they were like, "Oh well, we can't make money off of anthology films anymore." I'm like, "Hold on. It's your fault." Like, this had nothing to do with the fact that the movie was bad. It just had, you guys have shit places to put. Like Bob Iger, I'd love to work for Star Wars one day, but
honestly,
Iger came out and said, I have to say that first, but
of course,
we're not concerned with where it's gonna be, and like my college student brain is like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't think this movie's going to do too well. And sure enough, it underperformed greatly. It barely broke even, I think. Solo.
Yeah.
Rogue One cracked $1 billion because I think Star Wars is still riding high from The Force Awakens and people are still very excited about it. But the Solo, and then they blamed it on like The Last Jedi, and they blamed it on, and I was like, I don't think The Last Jedi had as much to do with it as people think it did. Like, did The Last Jedi like temper some enthusiasm for Star Wars? I think that's fair. I think it's fair. It tempered mine for a little bit.
Yeah,
but
totally.
I don't think it was resulted in like an $800 million deficit for the next Star Wars movie. I was like, come on, guys, really? So I don't know.
It's a little bit like that meme, the 4-panel meme of the guy on the bike, and he decides to put like a stick in the spokes and trip himself, and then he curses off something else. It's a little bit like that meme.
Or the other one where he shoots Hannibal Buress and he goes, "Why would so-and-so do this?" Yeah, it's like Disney shoots Solo and he goes, "Why would The Last Jedi do this?" or something like that. It's like, come on, guys. Or it'll be like Deadpool 2 and Infinity War shoots Solo, and it's like, damn, like it would be like, damn, Star Wars is really starting to lose its luster. It's like, no, it's not. Like,
it's a weird time.
But it's unfortunately the reason why we probably won't get a Solo trilogy. So
that would have been really, really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It would have been fun.
But let's see. Okay. I do have a thought about one of my favorite moments in Star Wars.
Sure.
So for a while, I wrote off Rebels, as a lot of people do, but at the time I was like 15, so
understandable.
Who knows? But I finally watched it a year or two ago, and I was floored. I loved that show.
Nice.
Good.
I finished it before I even finished Clone Wars.
Oh wow, that's a new one.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever heard that.
I was a little backwards, but I think that it worked to my benefit actually.
Right.
But I really enjoyed Kanan Jarrus as a character.
Good.
Partly also because we share first names, Caleb. That's always sort of a fun, small connecting point for a fictional character. But as a side note, it's also really, really funny to think that Kanan was voiced by the same guy who did the live action Fred in the Scooby-Doo movies. But
he's also, if you've played the Mass Effect trilogy, he is also James Vega. He is the big
Remind me. Vega. Yeah.
He's
really okay.
He did such a good job. People hate James Vega in that game, and I absolutely love him. He's amazing.
I thought he was great. Yeah, I just reinstalled the Legendary trilogy, so I'm about to have me some fun. Yeah, I have the Xbox Game Pass. Get mods. Okay.
I played. Sorry to derail it, but like,
this is how the podcast usually goes, dude.
Yeah, I've played the Legendary Edition on my Xbox like 3 times to its completion.
Mm-hmm.
I played it once on my PC, and I put like all the mods I wanted. That made the experience so much better. Like, it changes like designs. Like, if you think that this person shouldn't be wearing that in that scene, like have it like there's even a happy ending mod.
Yes.
Where like
that's right, the happy ending mod.
Where Shepard survives, and he's and they're at the funeral, and the only person who gets their name put on the plaque is Admiral Anderson, and Shepard's the one that puts it there. And I'm like, bro, that's the ending I wanted. I wanted the ending.
Seriously.
So I just finished playing it with that, and that was a truly fantastic game. Anyway,
I'll keep that in mind. No, all good. Dude, you should hear when we have Sparrow on the podcast. She's one of our other podcast members, and just things are derailed in a second flat. It is.
This is why we have the allegedly pets. Like,
it's the ADHD, man.
It's 100% what's going on. But yeah, our first episode with Sparrow as a proper part of the podcast was allegedly about pets. And we derailed so quickly. We started talking about how I want to open up like a fantasy roleplay town out on the countryside somewhere. And like, as far as I can tell, that doesn't really have anything to do with pets, but...
Fair. The human mind is a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. But my favorite event, or one of my favorite events, is when Kanan Okay, quickly. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Rebels, for anyone who may be listening.
Your spoiler alert, yeah.
I mean, we already said that Rey was a Palpatine. What more can we spoil?
A lot of things, actually.
Everything.
Ron was in Rebels. It's like, all right.
But when Kanan sacrifices himself on Lothal to save the rest of the Ghost crew, that hit me really hard for some reason. It was amazing, honestly.
It was honestly a mixture for me. It was Hera's
reaction
to
like terror.
Yeah,
partly. Yeah.
Yeah, because when Vanessa Marshall, who voices her, when she yells his name, like, it was very blood curdling, and I was like, that's like the most emotional I had ever heard anybody in the show do that, and I was like, oh my god, is he about to die? Somewhere in my PC, there's like a live reaction of me reacting to that episode, and I wish to God I could find it. I can't find it to save my life, but I remember watching it, and I remember when the fuel underneath them blew up and he rushed forward. I was like, oh, he's gonna die. No,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Kevin Kiner and the Kiner brothers, who have done the Clone Wars score as well as the Bad Batch and the Rebel score, a lot of people say like, oh, like they're like, it's not John Williams. It's like, nobody's John Williams.
No,
like, it's okay. Like, get over that. Like,
not even Michael Giacchino can live up to John. But
Ahsoka's theme, when she leaves the Order, Fives' death, it's called The Death of the Master, that song that plays, and it's like the operatic emotional in the background. Like I almost started like the FAVES death is dramatic mainly because of the music more so than almost anything else.
Yeah.
And the song that plays when Kanan dies, it's very very like horrifying and haunting. And it's like you just hear like the dark operatic voices in the back, and it just feels very like doom and gloom. And then in that moment, like the episode title starts to make sense too, because it's called Jedi Knight, but it's spelled Night, and you're like, oh, wait, why would he call it? Oh, he's dead. Okay, cool. And so yeah, Kevin Kiner and the Kiner brothers have done an excellent job with that score. And
absolutely,
I remember I was quiet for a couple hours after that episode.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow, they just killed off one of my favorite characters. That's cool.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh man, I kind of enjoy, maybe not enjoy, but I appreciate the martyrdom character quite a bit.
Yeah, very respectable characters.
Even if it's tragic when they die, I
mean,
they serve a very poignant purpose.
Yeah,
they do. Like the whole main cast of Rogue One.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Rewatching that again recently.
Yeah,
oh man,
it's very impressive how they make you care about like 10 ensemble characters.
I know. Yeah.
Damn, like we've had less than like 5 minutes of screen time with like half of them, and yet every single one of them that dies, you want to shed a tear for them. It's like I cannot sit through Rogue One without crying over Chirrut's death.
I know. I was about to say the exact same thing.
Over
Chirrut's death when he's like in his arms, he's in Baze's arms, and he's like, "Oh, I'll always find you," and it's like, "Oh, dude," I was like, "Oh man," I cried over there when Jin and Cassian died. I was like, "Bro, best." Because the whole movie, Baze is like skeptic. He's like, "Bro, I don't do this Force shit. Like, I don't care."
Yeah.
And at the end, it's like, damn, like the Force was really looking out for him there, and it's like, damn, man. I'm like, oh, like that, and when Mads Mikkelsen's character Galen is talking to Jin in the message about the Death Star.
Oh my gosh! The last time I watched that, it killed me.
Oh my god, the editing with like him talking about how vulnerable the Death Star is as it's destroying Jeddah City, and it's like, dude, like I was getting chills at how like
honestly
just swift everything. I was like, oh my gosh.
And to go back to the scoring, Michael Giacchino did it for Rogue One, if I remember correctly. And he also did The Incredibles, he did Up, he did the Batman, which was also phenomenal. That single 4-note chord progression for the Batman's theme is so good. But if I remember correctly, the scoring in the scene where they first test the Death Star is really like underplayed. Like it's a very quiet, light, somber music instead of like this terrifying thing of like, oh, they're about to fire the Death Star. It's like, oh, they're about to fire the Death Star. Oh no.
Yeah, it's a sneaking like small buildup of terror where it's like you're like, oh god, like
and
this
like
is gonna
dread.
Be bad. Yeah, it's a dread type sound. Where you hear them like the classic like commence primary ignition. You're like, oh my god, like the
oh, that sound is so good.
And the laser beam. It's like, oh my god, dude. So yeah, it's a very jarring scene. And like I remember somebody pointed it out to me and it scared the hell out of me when they were like, Josh, I found out recently that the Death Star can go into hyperspace.
Yeah.
They said, can you
We always forget about that.
Scary that must be. Like you're chilling and it's like, oh, look at that beautiful night sky, and then just boom, you're like you're just like, oh
that would be horrifying.
Yeah, actually though.
Just like, sitting there and all of a sudden Death Star, like
it's essentially if like the United States, something the size of the United States just like came out of nowhere.
And then it's hanging in your sky.
Literally a new like Earth would have a new moon for a second. Like
right. Right, and so like, and that's why like the part where they tell the admiral, the Mon Calamari Admiral Radis, I think his name is in Rogue One.
So.
They're like, Admiral, there's a massive object we detected that just came out of hyperspace. I was like, bro, they should have shown what it looked like coming out. Because
dude, they should have.
Boom! You're like, bro,
takes up literally the whole view screen.
Everybody would have simply just died. They would have. Oh.
What if? Imagine
just
though.
See them all faint.
Imagine it stops like 100 yards in front of them, and all you see is like the siding.
Yeah,
like a single hangar bay.
Like, it completely blocks out the sky.
Yeah,
and
the way they showed it over what was it called, Scarif?
Yeah, Scarif.
It's like on a horizon type thing.
Yeah,
so you can you see it, but it's like you're like, bro, that is terrifying. Like,
yeah, that alone is horrifying.
Of it, and it's just like peeking there with its giant eye. You're like, bro, no, oh my god.
Just the fact that like a simple, what was it, like a single ignition like fire would just trigger like a global tsunami.
Yeah, it was like, oh, like we only need like 10% of its power.
Yeah,
it's like,
okay, so you don't make a planet disappear, but you still make it completely uninhabitable from 10%.
That's like if the Death Star hovered over like New York City. And they were like, oh, we don't need to destroy the planet. We just need to destroy Manhattan. That would still kill like 30 million people.
Exactly.
At least, minimum. So,
oh my gosh. I can imagine that if they wanted to play that sequence a little more comedically, the Death Star would pop out of hyperspace. It would be like 100 yards away, and you'd see just like a single side panel. And the Admiral would ask just like, could we zoom that out a little bit? That's not zoomed in, sir. That's full scale.
I would like a stormtrooper just like waving through one of like the viewports.
You're about to die.
Yeah, middle fingers up.
And I remember, and this actually reminds me about how truly, like, Gareth Edwards is like one of the best directors when it comes to like scale.
Yeah,
he truly.
I definitely got a massive sense of scale for the Star Destroyers, for the Death Star.
He truly understands what it's like to be like, bro, this is fucking big. And so I'll never forget the very first teaser that came out for Rogue One. It wasn't the one where Saw Gerrera was like, if you continue to fight, what will you become? It's like the one before that wasn't ever shown publicly. And all it is like, it's like a forested planet, which I think in retrospect might have been Scarif. And it's like a TIE fighter, a little TIE fighter flying over, and you hear Obi-Wan's voice talking. It's like, for more than 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic. And you hear him go, before the dark times, before the Empire. And as he says that, you realize that the sky is literally just the Death Star. You're like, what? Oh no! Oh no! Like you see this little TIE fighter. You're like, oh, I wonder where the Empire is. Like, oh no! And then you see like the little disc divot, and you're like, wait, what? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, guys.
Oh my goodness!
I kind of had, to be fair, like not to say like, oh, I had this prediction all along, but once I saw that teaser, like the leaked teaser that they didn't want to show anybody else, which I don't know why, because it was a perfect teaser. That's when I first started getting the sense that everybody was going to die in the movie. I was like, something tells me this is about them getting the plans. I don't think a lot of them are going to make it out of this.
No.
It was a very scary. And then you can hear like
focus on the Death Star.
Yeah.
That can only mean a couple of things.
Right, yeah. Like, it's like, okay, they're probably going to try and get the plans, and it's going to be a prequel to Episode 4. And then, like, you're like, yeah, none of them are surviving this. There's no way. And it's like, whew. And then when they show the title screen of Rogue One, and I think it was before they even put the Star Wars story underneath it, you just hear, like, a bunch of battle sounds in the back and like soldiers screaming, and I was just like, bro, the atmosphere of that, like people didn't even cheer after the teaser. They were just kind of like,
they were frozen. Oh man.
Oh God, like what the, we just go from watching The Force Awakens like, yay, and then it's like death. You're like, oh, okay.
Is this actually Star Wars?
To be honest, I love what Disney is doing with the shows and stuff right now, but I would love to have a show like Rogue One where you get like
Boots on the
the
ground.
first person view of on the ground.
Yes.
Like the rebels fighting the Empire. Like
so Cass,
seasons.
I know that you're going through the Alphabet Squadron novels. And I'm gradually going through the first one on Audible right now. I know that or no, sorry, let me backtrack a quick second. But on that note, I've been wanting the Rogue Squadron movie that they had talked about ages ago, or something focused on a fighter wing for a long time. Exactly. I want Top Gun, but Star Wars.
Yes. Yes. We're going to get it soon.
Fingers crossed.
Ish.
I think a good I don't know if it's going to be a true to form like true war show, but I think Andor is going to be a good boots on the ground type thing too. It'll be more of an SB.
I hope
thing.
so.
It won't be all out battles because by that point in time, I don't think the Rebel Alliance is truly
probably not. Yeah,
right.
But it will be a lot of like behind the scenes stuff. He's talked to Jin in the Rogue One movie about how he's been in the fight since he was a kid. So he'll definitely be fighting stormtroopers and Imperials. I think he used to be a separatist, if I remember correctly.
Interesting.
His family used to be part of like the separatist movement.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, one thing about like the whole separatists is that like not all of them were these evil droid making people.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
It was masked by legitimate issues that people had in public, and then they kind of got like hijacked by the big corporate. This is such a
like the banking plan and stuff.
Such a parallel to the real world, but
honestly,
but yeah. So like that's when you kind of realize like people like Cassie, and you're like, oh wow, like he's always kind of been radical in that sense of like, no, like the Republic, what the Republic did to us was wrong, and what the Empire is doing to us is worse. We need something better than that. And so I do like that Cassie. So like, like it'll be an interesting dynamic when Andor comes out, because we'll be looking at it from that lens of somebody maybe not as extreme as Saw Gerrera, because Saw Gerrera through certain eyes would probably be labeled a terrorist, but like Cassian,
he can be a little freaky.
Cassian, even though he's also dubious in certain things, like he's probably willing to help people to get to his goals. He's not. He has quite a little bit more of probably like a moral compass sort of way. So like I think with him it'll be cool. I don't know if K2SO is going to be in the show though. They suggest that like he might not show up until later.
I mean, I guess I could. I guess would make some sense. But
it'd be a little disappointing.
Yeah.
Because K2 is such an icon, but
Alan Tudyk, like for one movie, like they made him a fan favorite. Like he was amazing.
I cried when he died.
Honestly,
So I have a Nissan Rogue, and I named it K2SO. I don't know if I've told anyone that before, but that's my car.
I need to name my car. I don't know what to name it. It always breaks down, so I don't want to name it. It hasn't earned that yet.
Rust bucket.
It's like, you don't need a name.
Shitbox.
Another show. Shit bucket. Or just Gonk.
Yeah.
Gonk.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Another show I'm really looking forward to that doesn't have a lot said about it yet is The Acolyte.
Do we know what that's supposed to be?
So all we know is it's basically a mystery thriller about the dark side. That's all.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm so into that.
From a timeline perspective, it takes place at the end of the High Republic era.
Oh, really? Okay.
The end of the High Republic era takes place about 50 years before the Phantom Menace.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
So when they said that, I was kind of like, wait, I feel like, I mean, maybe Plagueis could be
Plagueis Palpatine?
Dude.
Because Palpatine's a pretty old dude by Attack of the Clones, and that's about 60.
Yeah.
After the end of the High Republic, could it be conceivable that somebody like Plagueis or Plagueis' master is a thing at this point in time? This is what the Acolyte is about. Like, because if it's about the dark side, and it's set towards like fairly close to the Phantom Menace, something tells me it's going to have something to do with the Sith. Like, I just feel like it's pretty. So.
Zarria, do you remember who we're talking about when we reference Plagueis?
No.
Okay, so in
you heard the stories of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Yeah. Did you ever hear the tragedy? But in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine, as he's manipulating Anakin to turn to the dark side, tells him a story because he also knows that Anakin's been having dreams about Padme dying. Palpatine tells a story about how Darth Plagueis, who not explicitly is Palpatine's ex-master, was experimenting with the dark side of the Force to learn how to resurrect and preserve life. And then tells about how his apprentice, who, again, implicitly was Palpatine, betrayed him before he could preserve himself. And he goes, ironic.
Dude, the way his mouth was during that scene is just...
It's just such a shit-eating grin. It's like,
so much so. It's like...
ironic.
Anyone paying attention in any amount who knows like what that means, they know exactly that Palpatine was the guy who offed his master.
Yeah. And Anakin, like in the scene, if it wasn't already like apparent at what Palpatine was trying to do there, Anakin asked the question, "Is it possible to learn this?" And he goes, "Oh, a Jedi can't teach you." It's like, oh, I see what he's doing now. He's trying to bring him to the dark side.
It brings up the question. It brings up the question, like, Anakin, were you that drowned in your emotions that you couldn't tell he was trying to lead you along the primrose path there?
But he was how old was Anakin during that?
24, probably.
Yeah, mid-20s, probably.
So, like,
not a lot older than most of us.
Probably have some form of anxiety disorder.
Yeah, and if you're that scared of losing someone you care about greatly, there's a lot of crazy shit that people are willing to do. Not all of it moral.
No.
Not all of it good. As Anakin has so graciously demonstrated, to keep them safe, and to the point where, because like I've been scared to the point of being irrational before. Like, I mean, when you feel like there's no other option, and somebody tells you, "Hey, yo, like if you join the dark side, like your wife will be saved and you'll be way stronger," and everything like that. And then you couple that with all the other stuff that he's been dealing with. He's fighting a war. He feels like he's being slighted by Obi-Wan and the Council.
His Padawan left because she felt betrayed by the Order too.
Right.
Like,
right.
All this stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody around him is leaving in a sense. And so, like when Obi-Wan fakes his death in the Clone Wars.
That was rough.
Yeah, and he was really pissed off about that because he went on for days thinking Obi-Wan was dead. Oh, that's
right. He wasn't even in on it. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and so he comes up and he's like, "Bro, like, how many lies are you guys telling me?" And then he finds out that Obi-Wan was in on it. And I remember he was talking to him after the episode ended. He was like, "Too bad the Council didn't tell me about what you guys were planning. I would have been able to help you or whatever." And Obi-Wan's like, "It was my idea not to tell you." And it's like, bro, what? And I'm like,
that's a betrayal of trust if there ever was one.
Honestly,
because he probably already knew that Mace and Yoda didn't trust him as far as he could throw. He's like, whatever, like these guys are jerks, like whatever. Obi-Wan's like the one guy that has to be the good cop. So it's like, bro, for you, A2 Brute, like, come on, bro. Really? And so, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Cass, do you have a particular favorite to share?
Oh, man.
I know. Now anything that you already had is gone.
I have like some stuff, but like, you know, after this podcast, I'm like, I could have said that too.
Oh yeah.
There's so many things I can say. I mean, I'm gonna be super generic here. I mean, my two favorite characters of all time is Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. Like,
good pick.
Hands down.
Absolutely. They're almost like two sides of the same coin in certain senses, at least.
Like, Ahsoka, just her character development is so good. Like, there's nothing bad I can say about it. Look at that thing. It's looking really good.
I printed and painted this as well, and it's not totally done, but
looks great though. And so I love the Jedi, but I also see like the mistakes in the Jedi Order.
I see through the lies of the Jedi.
Exactly.
Right. So I really, really respect Ahsoka leaving the Order. That like when that happened, when I saw that, I was just like, hell yeah. But like I love Obi-Wan, who like to a lot of people is this like perfect Jedi, follows everything to a T, but like not really. Like you said, he would fill Anakin in on the stuff that, you know, like the Order didn't want like, you know, him to know and stuff. And I believe Obi-Wan knew Padme and Anakin had a thing.
Oh yeah. No, it's guaranteed. Yeah. It's never explicitly said, but like they were never all too subtle either.
Yeah. Right. Go ahead, sorry.
No, it's okay. Like I believe the reason was because one, he loved Anakin as a brother, and two, Obi-Wan had a love interest too.
Oh yeah. No, I was going to bring up Satine.
Yeah. So Obi-Wan was just like, you know what? A lot of us do it, and it'll be fine.
It's why people were like, how did Obi-Wan just know that Anakin was the father? It's like, bro, I bet a lot of people knew that Anakin was the father.
I'm sure that other senators talked about that all the time.
It wasn't exactly hidden. Like,
I'm not saying Ewan McGregor knew that there was going to be a whole Clone Wars series. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But Ewan turned around and looked at her like this was something he's been wanting to ask her for like a year. Like
Anakin's the father, isn't he?
Yeah, like what? Like she's like, why are you coming over here and asking me where he is? He's like, Padme, I know what
you know why I'm asking you.
You think I'm stupid? I know we're like blind to a lot of stuff, but we see what's going on. And I remember when Anakin's like not so subtly huffing and puffing about Padme. He's like, I'm concerned about the relationship. It's like, you're putting that into her. Obi-Wan is pretty much telling him as carefully as he can, like, so I get to a degree what's happening here, but I don't want to actually say it because it's kind of an unspoken thing.
Right.
It's not a bad thing to feel this way. You just need to, and there is some truth in what Yoda tells Anakin. Remember when Anakin was having the bad dreams and he was giving Yoda everything he could without saying, oh, by the way, I'm married to a senator.
Yeah.
Like,
or just married in general, for that matter.
He was telling him, like, because when I was a kid, I always took Yoda saying, like, you need to train yourself to let go of everything you're scared of losing. I always took that as him saying, oh, you're not supposed to care about anybody.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that's what I thought too.
As I got older, I was like, well, there's still some hidden Jedi dogma in there, but the general message was, if their time is there, if they die, you need to be prepared to accept that.
Exactly.
You need, like, if my, like, say, like, for example, like my dad passed away a couple of years ago. Like,
oh yeah.
If this was like a Star Wars analogy, and like my father passed away, if I was like falling even further after he died and wouldn't accept that he had died, that would be even more of a pain on my conscience and my mental state because I wouldn't be at peace with it. They're just saying you need to be at peace when stuff like when tragedy happens. You can't dwell on it. Otherwise, you're just going to you're going to waste the time you have left yourself. And so I got what Yoda was trying to say. He said
the delivery could have gone a lot better.
He said it like, oh, like you're not supposed to miss them when they die. It's like, no, you can miss them. Like, because like Yoda's saying like, oh well, like Yoda's pretty much like shit happens.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
like, so
Anakin?
It's easy for a 900-year-old to say shit happens. It's like, bro, you've seen enough of this. Somebody dying is like you stubbing your toe. You're
it's
like,
just another Tuesday. All right.
Yeah.
So actually, Anakin, a quote he says really actually fits this. Attachment is forbidden. Possession is forbidden. Compassion, which I would define as unconditional love, is central to a Jedi's life. So you might say that we are encouraged to love, but you have to learn to let go.
You're right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like you said.
Yeah.
So
like Jedi,
and that's
Jedi obviously care about like the galaxy.
If they didn't, they wouldn't do what they do.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would say a cautionary tale of that would be Luminara. Somebody like Luminara.
Oh no.
She and I don't know if you know who this person is. She has like a really cool headdress. I believe her and Barris are kind of Muslim coded, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it feels like
Barris
it.
Is, I think Luminara is as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Luminara is more so.
Yeah, and
it feels like, yeah.
Luminara is an incredibly, putting it charitably, dedicated Jedi master. She truly believes in the code. Her problem is that she probably takes it a little too literally, because it kind of comes off as like Ivory Tower-ish. Like, oh, you think you're the shit. Like, you're not just doing it because it's the
holier
right
than
thing
thou.
Yeah, and so when you hear her, like, a correct by the Jedi Code example of letting go would be when Barris and Ahsoka got trapped in the Geonosis arc.
Oh my
god! Anakin's like, bro, we need to go save them, and Luminara's like, eh. And I'm like, okay.
No, you're right. Oh my god.
I totally forgot about that.
Like, can you at least try and make sure they're okay? And Anakin, I looked at her like she was crazy, and I was like, yeah. So like, that's when like Anakin's like ideas and Luminara. It's like
two sides of the same coin almost.
Yeah. And so you look at it, but that kind of attitude is the reason the Jedi fell.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get it. I mean, it's the reason that they didn't see the warning signs with somebody like Anakin. Mm-hmm. The reason they couldn't see what Palpatine was doing, even though Dooku pretty much told Obi-Wan exactly what was happening. He said, bro,
he did?
The Sith Lord is controlling the Senate. He's playing both sides of the war. And Obi-Wan's like, there's no way a guy would straight up tell me that.
Yeah.
To be fair, if you're in that situation, would you believe him? Like,
and that's what makes it so brilliant, because people were like, it's a massive plot hole. Why would Dooku do that? I'm like, because he knew they weren't gonna believe. He was trying to get Obi-Wan to, like, he was obviously doing his own machinations.
Yeah.
But like, he also knew, like, if this doesn't work out, he's not going to tell the Jedi Council that.
Exactly. Yo, get a load of what Count Dooku told me.
Right. By the time they got to the end, and who knows, he might have even told them, and they were like, nah. Yeah,
could have been
entirely possible. And so it's not even until the end of the war that they're starting to suspect that it's near Palpatine. But even then, it's not until Palpatine straight up tells Anakin that he's a Sith Lord that Mace Windu really figures out, like, oh my god, he's the guy. Because they always were kind of suspicious of Palpatine. He had been in office way longer than he was supposed to. He had been like gaining more and more power. The Jedi were becoming more distrustful of him.
They were this close.
Another year, they would have found out who it was. They would have been like, Yoda would have eventually been able to deduce, like, oh God, it's him. But it's one of those things where it's like, Palpatine ran it so perfectly that there's no way that anybody would have been able to uncover it. FAVES was the only true threat to uncovering it. And he probably wasn't even all that concerned with that one, because he's like, look, the Jedi are so stupid at this point that I can just say that it's a clone that went defective, and they'd probably agree with me just to keep it going. And sorry to get this long-winded.
No,
but one of my favorite quotes, one of my favorite scenes in the entirety of the Clone Wars, more so than any battle, more so than any conversation aside from this one, aside from any moment, is when Yoda and the council are sitting. It's after they find out that Dooku is Tyrannus, I think.
Right.
Which is like the first step into figuring out the true truth, where it's like, wait, he ordered the clone army? The guy who runs the Separatists ordered us the clone army? And so Mace Windu goes like, so in layman's terms, he pretty much like, in like TLDR, he pretty much goes, Yoda's like, we got to play his game. We don't have a choice. We don't know what's happening. We have to keep doing this, and maybe hope that he lets himself get an opening. And Mace Windu goes, are you sure that this is the right path? And Yoda goes, no, I don't think it's the right path. It's the only path. And
Holy
it's them.
shit.
It is truly a microcosm of everything that went wrong with the Clone Wars. It actually gave me chills when I watched it recently. I was like, oh my God. Because it's them going, we have no idea what's happening. They already lost by that point. They had no idea what was happening. Palpatine probably could have given Order 66 out right there. And the only reason he didn't was because he thought Anakin was a wild card. He didn't know.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been able to truly get Anakin on his side until he started becoming mentally unstable with Padme.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have tried risking taking over that blatantly if he knew that Anakin and Obi-Wan were still like this, and Anakin was still dedicated to protecting the Republic. But once that happened, once he knew that he was having dreams about his wife, Palpatine was like, here's my slam. Here's the LeBron James dunk in Game 7, baby. I'm coming in. Here it comes. So, oh my gosh. Every time I talk about that final dive into the Empire, it's just brilliant.
The
way you described that scene totally put that more into perspective for me. Because I remember that scene, but like I didn't think about it like that. And Caleb, I know I've talked to you about that Disney short about those two old guys playing chess.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same guy, and he keeps going to each different side of the chess table, and that's it. And the meme is about Emperor Palpatine doing that.
Yeah.
It's that. We got. They just got to play the game.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh,
boy. That's like my favorite thing is the Jedi, but not just because they're a Jedi. They have a lightsaber. They fight. They're cool. It's everything about it, even their fall. Like the whole part of that story is so cool to me.
It's all great. It's something that I hope to get a little more versed in with the progression from the original trilogy to the sequels as well. Because I feel like if I have a little bit more perspective on how the First Order was able to happen, that it would feel a little more, for lack of a better term, justified, I suppose.
So I have read a lot of books about that, and if you want, we can go on a Discord call and I can tell you all about it.
We might even save that for the next discussion episode.
That could work, because I, for one, love how the First Order came to be.
Yeah, and I'm sure that I would too.
Yeah.
I genuinely just don't understand that much. Because,
like,
I know about, of course, like, Operation Cinder, which, for Zarria and for anybody else, Operation Cinder was enacted as soon as the second Death Star was blown up and when Emperor Palpatine died. And it was basically like was it a scorched earth kind of thing, or was it a fear-mongering kind of thing?
It was Palpatine going, if I lose, then nobody gets to run my empire.
Yeah, so it was a scorched earth thing.
It was also a way just to purge any remnant of the empire that wasn't like super ultra mega like loyal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think like the German military, and then like the SS. It's like the SS can go off into Argentina. The rest of the German military can fuck off. Like that's pretty much what it was. It was like the Wehrmacht, like all the other like regular infantry, that kind of stuff. The generals who were never really on my side to begin with, they kind of just rolled with the punches. But the fanatics that are like ready to jump into a hole for me, they can go build the new empire so that I can have them firmly on my side when I come back inevitably.
Yeah. And, once you start to think about it a little bit more like that, it starts in myself to make me feel like I have less of a problem with Palpatine coming back in the first place.
Yeah, because
I think that my main issue with him coming back was just that I never felt as though I understood how or why, which is more of a failing, in air quotes, of just a lack of explanation.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because they guaranteed had something worked out for it. Yeah. But when the line to explain the plot of the movie is somehow Palpatine returned, it's like, I don't get where you're going with this kind of thing.
Like, you shouldn't need books to have to explain something so important.
Yeah,
precisely. It's the same way with like I remember I was watching I think it was Angry Joe reviewing the first Destiny game, but he was very upset with it. This was back when like I used to watch Angry Joe all the time. But, like
I can't say I've ever watched an Angry Joe video.
That's fair. But that was probably one of the better ones he's ever done. I remember one of the complaints, the defenders was, he said, I felt like there was enough of the story that didn't feel like it was all in the game. I had to read books to understand what was happening. And people said, well, that's a good thing. He was like, well, no, like DLC and books explaining stuff later does not excuse them not having it in the game itself. If I don't understand what's happening in the regular stock $60 game that I bought, and I need to get the $30 expansion in 6 months to understand it, then that's not a good thing. So, so like one of the things,
and then 10 years later, that has become Destiny's business model. But
yeah, right. Yeah. And so,
that being said, though, Witch Queen was fantastic.
My buddy could probably tell you way more about it. Not me. I've never been like a huge Destiny guy,
but yeah. In any case, with the Rise of Skywalker.
But yeah, with Rise of Skywalker, my biggest issue wasn't necessarily that Palpatine came back. It's that like at no point in 7 or 8 did I ever get the sense that he was getting hinted at coming back.
Yeah, it never felt like it was built up to. Yeah,
if they had alluded from the beginning, or maybe the climax of 7, that there was something else out there, and people kind of started speculating that it might be Palpatine, and then he finally makes his grand appearance, kind of like Thanos style in Episode 9. I'm like, all right, cool, all right, I'm fine with that, because and not to say like, oh, you need to read the books to understand, but like people who have read the books will understand, like, oh yeah, he's the reason he did Operation Cinder. He's not going to let somebody else run whatever's left of that. He's going to come back and run it. Like that's his thing. So that coupled with that would have matched up really well with like, okay, it makes sense that Palpatine comes back. But when you get to Episode 9, and as cool as the teaser was when you hear his laugh,
I do remember being really excited about that.
Yeah, because when Snoke dies in 8, a lot of people are like, okay, so I guess Kylo Ren is the big bad in 9.
Yeah, you get a big feeling of like, what now? Yeah.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have hated it. I mean, word to Trevorrow's early draft of Episode 9, but like,
I do love the Duel of the Fates script.
So the script is.
Yo,
it isn't perfect.
Dies.
It's okay. I mean, like the stuff in it is really cool.
I found it fascinating.
I love how it pretty much it connects the other movies on a level that Rise of Skywalker would have never done otherwise. I think the final battle in the Duel of the Fates movie script was on Mortis.
Yes.
So I'm like, that's the ultimate like connection to Clone Wars era stuff. And so
because I just got to interject real quick for Zarria again, and for anybody else who hasn't seen the Clone Wars, Mortis, or Rebels for that matter, but Mortis is a planet that is intrinsically connected to the Force and has a lot to do with like some deeper lore in the Star Wars universe, and like having to do with all the prophecies about things and all that sort of stuff. So it is extremely important. And in Duel of the Fates, which was another script that was written for potential Episode 9, the climactic stuff between Rey and Kylo happened on Mortis, and that would have been a very interesting connecting thread in that sense. So yeah, go on.
But just to say, like, that would have been an option. I mean, like, I don't think I would have hated if Palpatine didn't come back at all, especially since I didn't get the sense that he was going to come back up until I saw the teaser for Episode 8. I mean Episode 9. But I just it was fun. Rise of Skywalker did plenty of stuff that was good. I always thought that as much as I had issues with The Last Jedi, particularly when I immediately walked out of the movie theater, I had a very raw opinion of the movie when I immediately walked out. I was like, I don't know if I like that. So, and I was still salty that Luke died. I was like, oh, you're gonna kill him.
For sure.
Yeah, I was
that's fair.
But I was like, okay, well, they did it. They made the decisions that they did. Rian Johnson, regardless of my opinions of the movie, Rian Johnson put together a very well-made movie.
Yes.
I truly look at it as somebody like, oh, he got full control over this movie. Like, there is no editing issue that I noticed. There is no, like, the movie looks like it took all of the production time it needed to get done.
Yeah, it is Rian Johnston's movie. Like, that much is clear, for sure.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, it happened. Rian Johnson made the movie, so own it. The next movie, own it. Like,
yeah.
I don't agree.
That was another issue that I had with it too. Yeah, is that it just didn't own it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I agreed with Luke being like, at least at the time, I don't know if I agreed with Luke being like a depressed old man, but you know, it happened, and I think there's some lesson to be learned in that, and I think you can build off of that, and I think to an extent the general spirit of Duel of the Fates kind of did that in a way that I never. When I read it, I was like, oh, he was going to do a lot with this. Oh my God. Like, we were going to see Coruscant. We were going to see the movie was a direct reference to like the most iconic Star Wars song in the prequel trilogy, as well as the Revenge of the Sith movie that I think a piece of the Duel of Fates plays in Revenge of the Sith.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when Anakin and Obi-Wan fight. And so it's like between Battle of the Heroes. But all of the stuff, Finn had a larger role. I think Rose had a larger role.
Yeah, she had a much larger role.
Like an uprising in the Stormtrooper.
I mean, to be fair, anything is more than like 2 minutes of total screen time. So
yeah, they didn't give her anything in 9.
They really did her dirty. I was sad about it for sure.
Yeah,
because
like, you know, as somebody who, I mean, I didn't have that hate boner for Rose that so many other people did.
No,
I never understood it.
Certainly not on the level of harassing the actual actress online. That is something that it's sadly not an uncommon thing within the Star Wars fandom, and it's quite.
Did you bring something up after the Kenobi trailer came out about the kid playing young Luke saying like, if we treat him the way that we did Jake Lloyd?
I'm bullying.
Yeah.
If the kid comes out and people are for some reason trying to crap on him, even if he like, you know, if they didn't think he did a good job or whatever like that, that is a child. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that is a child. I don't care if he's in show business. I don't care if he's making more than you. That is a child. He is a child. He cannot comprehend the fact that people can be assholes on the internet at that age. You know what I'm saying? I think it's like a 9-year-old kid or something. Yeah. It's like Jake Lloyd again. And so when I look at people like Ahmed Best and Jake Lloyd getting like death threats and articles about how they ruin Star Wars and their abominations, even as a kid, I was kind of like, I feel like that's kind of a dick move. Like, I feel like seriously, I feel like why would you make your entire online personality about shitting on somebody? Like, I've never understood. You can be critical of movies. You can be you can even critique people's acting. But like, I don't think you can turn that into a personal thing where you like Rian Johnson.
To vilify a human being because of that is
it's something I will never understand.
It is abhorrent.
Rian Johnson posted a picture. I think it was Rian Johnson, or was it? No, it was J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams posted a picture of Michael Kenneth Williams after he passed away, because they had
Remind
worked
me
together.
who Michael Kenneth Williams was.
Have you seen The Wire?
No.
Oh, put that on your bucket list.
Okay.
Have you seen? Oh gosh, what was he in? Boardwalk Empire.
I'm gonna say right now, I probably haven't seen anything of his. So what was his name again? I'll just Google him.
Michael Kenneth Williams. He died early last year. He died about 6 months ago. Really excellent black actor. He was most known for The Wire. He played a guy named Omar. Baltimore street criminal type thing. Very legendary for that role.
He's done big stuff.
He was originally going to be the main bad guy in Solo before he had scheduling conflicts. Then Paul Bettany had to take his spot. But he passed away earlier last year, and J.J. Abrams had worked with him in the past, and so they had gotten to know each other. You know, any director that works with an actor, like they've spent months together, so like. He knows him better than any of us do. So he posted a little, like, you know, rest in peace. I love you, man. It's been real. We had a lot of laughs. I'm sad to see you go. So it's like a simple tribute. And people rolled into the comment section and were like, well, I wish you had this kind of reverence for Star Wars. And I'm like, bro, are you kidding me? The dude lost a friend of his. Like, bro, are you serious right now? Yeah. And
that is so scummy.
I don't like people that weapon. I'm not gonna talk.
No.
Yeah, I don't want to get y'all in trouble for something I've
A credit that I actually do know him from is from Battlefield 4. He was Irish in Battlefield 4. I mean, the rest of you might not know that, but I know Battlefield 4 enough to remember that character. So, okay, I have at least some idea of who he was.
He was the only cool part about the campaign. I thought the campaign was garbage, I'll be honest with you.
I just play a lot more single player than I do anything else.
Same.
But I encourage you guys to check out The Wire. He's really good in that. But
okay.
But like, it's just like that kind of attitude where it's like, somebody like these guys need to live their lives. Like J.J. Abrams, like I don't agree with everything he did with Star Wars. I probably would do a lot of stuff differently that he did in either of the movies he directed. But
that doesn't mean that I have less respect for him as an accomplished person and filmmaker.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And even if he wasn't an accomplished filmmaker,
even just as a human being, yeah.
He is a human being. Like you don't see me trashing Roland Emmerich for all of his movies. Like it's like as a human, like I haven't heard anything that said Roland Emmerich was a bad person. Like, I mean, I hope that's the case. I don't want to say like, oh God, like I don't know, but
I know, yeah.
But I'm not gonna go after the dude because he made a movie I didn't like. You know what I'm saying?
And or like, so Mace, you're a Last Airbender fan, yeah?
Oh, dude.
Okay.
Hang on.
all right.
Let's go.
He's stepping up.
Oh
my! That's gorgeous. Okay.
Wow.
Hang on a second.
Awesome.
Oh, sure.
I know I have my.
That is so cool. Holy shit.
I know I have my Dante Bosco autograph somewhere around here.
Oh, I got you too. Hang on.
Oh my.
Hey.
My buddy. My buddy surprised me with this on my birthday. He went to I think the South Carolina Comic Con. And Dante Bosco was there. He was signing autographs and stuff. And he didn't tell me this, but he was like, he went up to him and he was like, hey, can you sign this for my buddy? And he was like, oh, sure. What's his name? And he was like, Josh. He was like, oh, I like that name, Josh. And he goes, Josh, hello, Zuko here. And I was like,
oh man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I got this one.
Melted.
Yeah.
Awesome,
I asked him to write down his favorite quote, and so he wrote down the "Why am I so bad at being good" quote.
That's a good line.
I love that quote.
My favorite has to be "That's rough, buddy."
Oh, of
That's
course.
Yeah,
that's rough, buddy.
That was like that preluded memes, I think, didn't it?
Probably, because that
YouTube,
line
I
was
think
said
that
on like
preluded the meme
2007.
Yeah, so yeah, that preluded even like memes where like I would look at the YouTube comment section, somebody would say like, "Yeah, my wife left me," and somebody would just go, "That's rough, buddy,"
That's rough,
and I'm
buddy.
like,
that came before Rage Comics, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah, and so,
Oh,
but yeah,
man.
to answer your question,
But yeah.
I am a massive Last Airbender fan.
Okay.
I vividly remember I was 11 years old. It was 2008, and I was watching the series finale in my parents' room because they were the only ones that had the big TV. And I cannot believe I remember this so well. I had slept all day because I had stayed up all night the night before, so I felt really groggy. And so I forgot that the series finale was playing. It was like an hour and a half thing.
Yeah.
And so I sat in my parents' room while my uncle was over. I can't believe I remember all of this. My uncle was over talking to my mom in the kitchen, and I was watching it in the room, and I'll never forget how numb I felt when Aang got his Avatar state back.
Oh,
and I was watching it like it was freaking the final four. I was like, bro, oh my God, it's happening. Like me and my brother like, oh my God, is he doing it? And then finally, dude, the thing that blue balled us for 3 straight years, when Aang and Katara finally like unironically kiss, because they had kissed before, but when they unironically kiss for good at the end, it was just all my brother and I could do would just be like,
Yup. Absolutely.
That was the greatest finale I think I had ever seen, and
it's still one of the greatest finales I think I've ever seen.
Yeah,
and I watched it in my adult years too. I hadn't seen it until I had gotten together with my wife. So Yeah.
So why did you ask me?
Yeah. So the reason that I asked you about that is because none of us really like to acknowledge the M. Night Shyamalan movie.
What movie?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's a similar thing. I do not vilify M. Night Shyamalan for making a movie that doesn't exist. Even if I don't like what that theoretically may or may not be.
Right.
Totally
agree. Especially considering how M. Night is a very capable director. Like I actually remember when I totally didn't see that movie. That totally doesn't exist. I'll never forget that it kind of hindered my opinion of his directorial skills, but my mom had a completely different, because she didn't watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, so she didn't know what that movie that didn't exist was messing up.
Exactly.
And so she knew like what was the one twist movie?
Split?
With the Sixth Sense?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
It was like the Sixth Sense or something.
I'll be honest, I haven't even watched any Shyamalan movie, actually. I want to get around to him too, though, because
yeah, and so
I like mind-bending stuff from time to time.
Yeah, my mom and dad had a very different idea of what M. Night could bring to the table. So when I would talk shit about how, oh my god, he ruined Avatar: The Last Airbender, my mom and dad are like, "That's nice, dear." So anyway, I thought it was cool, and it's like, okay, that's fair. That's fair. But
that's
yeah,
rough,
you're right.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna trash him as a human being and come across as an absolute monster. Like,
it's just not worth my energy.
Yeah, that too. And I don't feel like my morals are solid enough that I don't want to turn that into content. It's like I just feel so dirty, like being like, expose Daisy Ridley. It's like, bro, I feel
those
like
are the worst.
Like
some TMZ piece.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh,
you have to have
tabloids.
A special kind of like attitude and moral system to be able to do that kind of line of work well. I'd probably last about a week, and then I'd be like, damn, like I had to break a news story before the mom found out that he died. Like TMZ reported that Kobe Bryant died, and that's how his family found out that he died.
What?
It's like, dude, like that's how some of them found out he died.
Oh my gosh.
Kobe Bryant and daughter died. It's like,
God.
Can you imagine if you're his wife and you're like, oh, okay, cool, all right. So that you have to be that quick with it, like,
yeah.
Seriously, oh my God.
That's Jesus, so rough. And I mean, they don't do it to ruin people, but at the same time, well, I mean, that may not be the primary intent.
Right. Yeah.
Might be secondary.
Because I know they were the first to report that Michael Jackson had died. That was a little less unethical because like nobody knew what was going on. So when they came out and they were like, oh yeah, like now they had said that he had died an hour before anybody else had said it. And I remember my mom, when she found out that TMZ was the one that was saying it, she was like, oh, I think he's dead, guys. And my sister was like, oh, he's not, that he could still be in a coma there. My mom was like, listen, I've had experience with TMZ before. They
may suck,
no other person,
but they tell the truth.
If they came out and said he was dead and they were confident, he's probably gone. And then sure enough, an hour later, it was true. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. But to go back to Star Wars, I think it's quite clear to everybody that we love Star Wars. And it's crazy to think that Star Wars has been as much a part of my life as like my parents or the faith that I grew up with or that sort of thing. It's strange to put something that is like a piece of fictional work into a similar category as things like that. You know what I mean? But it really is, like, on some level at least, intrinsic to who I have become. And I feel very appreciative to Star Wars as a franchise for doing that. And
I feel the same way.
It's like me looking up to this monolithic company saying, I owe you my life, Star Wars, and then them not responding because they're a company.
Right.
But it's also just nice to feel that there is something that important to me that I can always enjoy and appreciate.
Yeah.
And Cass and
nothing
I
can take that away from you.
Yeah. Cass and I were talking before we started the episode about just like we had to bring out our sabers. You know, we're on that level. Mine looks a little too blown out for one thing, but also a bit too red. But this is technically orange. Cass's is a little more obvious to tell. Yeah. And we actually have pretty much the same hilt as well.
Pretty much.
It's the more or less the Apprentice V5 from Ultra Sabers, and Ultra Sabers isn't perfect, but they make affordable sabers. Do you have one, Mace?
Say again? I didn't.
Do you have one? Do you have a saber?
I do. The light bulb in it blew out, so I need to get me batteries. So it's a Luke Skywalker Black Series. There's a nice story behind it. My buddies, shortly after they found out my dad passed away, I was kind of like keeping to myself a little bit, like that. Nice, man. I was keeping to myself a little bit, and they surprised me with Luke Skywalker's saber. Like they pulled some money together and they bought me a brand new one from GameStop. And it was, so even though it's not like the most quality one out there, I treasure it because of
absolutely
what it meant.
Yeah.
And so
yeah,
it's definitely one of the most thoughtful gifts that somebody's ever given me. So
absolutely, that is a good story. I just kind of bought this on a whim one day.
Oh no, that's a very valid purchase.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
This was COVID.
Yeah, I think I did. I think I got mine with some COVID benefit money too.
Yeah,
okay. Just don't tell the government.
The IRS
I wanted a new hobby.
Oh my goodness.
Cass actually also choreographs lightsaber battles too.
He does. You haven't done that in a little while, partly because of your injuries, but
right, yeah. In January of 2021, I tore my ACL, and so since then, I haven't really done much about it. I think I've done it a couple days this year, but it's still fun.
We've determined that when we meet up, we're probably also going to do some choreography.
Absolutely.
Nice.
But we've been going for quite a while now.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, and Cass has a stream to get ready for. I'm sure Mace would like to go on with his evening, and so would Zarria and I. But seriously, we deeply appreciate you coming. It was an awesome conversation. Very glad to have it with you.
Thank you.
If you're ever open to it in the future, we'd love to have you back on. We're gonna eventually maybe try to get Simuliu in here too. Like,
really?
I mean, you've probably seen our follower base. We're not at the stage where that seems like a very like appealing thing.
I was like, wait.
Oh no. I'm not 100% joking. Like,
kind of half joking.
I want to do it very badly.
I mean, it's kind of like sending a wedding invitation to really rich people like Jeff Bezos, and their assistant might send you a present.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it's like. It's just one of those things where, like, hey, I heard that Simu's like a massive Star Wars fan. Maybe we could snag something if we get the right connections.
Hey, man. If you manage to pull them, tell them I said hi.
Absolutely. We might even just bring you along for that one, too.
Yeah. Oh, I'd cry. I'd be like how you said you were today. Where you're like, I'm just nerves. I'd be like, it's not even my show, and I'm nervous.
But I mean, like, we would at least have like, we'd have a number of people. Well, no, we want to respect the guy, but like, the thought comes to mind of like, we would have a couple of people come in and say hello, but. Again, you know, he is also a human being. We want to respect his time and his sort of probably like social batteries.
Be selfish, man. Be like, nah.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, could you
exclusive.
Exactly.
One-on-one with yeah,
could we tap into some of your funds to do like a marketing campaign for the podcast? Like,
can you just send me $10,000?
Yeah. No, there we go. You're gonna pay us to be on our podcast.
I need your money.
Tim was like, "I'll get back to you," and he just never calls you again.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was a great time. And then thank you, of course, for Zarria and Cass for being here. And then thank you to everyone who has listened to this episode. We've been getting a lot of people enjoying the podcast lately, and we continue to have fun with it. We are super grateful for all of your patronage. As usual, just make sure that you come find us on our social media platforms, and join us in our Discord. Support us financially if you can, but of course, we will never ask for anything in a demanding way.
No, if you like the podcast, you are obligated to give us money.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the approach.
Savage.
Yo, man, you should quit your day job. You know how that works, right? That means you have to start giving me money.
Buy my shirts.
Literally.
Yeah. But all the links for everything that we have referenced, including Mace's social media, will be in the show notes or the YouTube video description. So go check all of us out. We're always grateful to hear from all of you, and we have a great time. So yeah, thank you again so much for coming by, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah.